Conor McGregor has changed a lot. Physically, this dude's face has changed a lot. Like every couple of months. He literally looks like a different person in some of these pictures. And like his appearance, his fighting style has changed drastically throughout the years. From light on the feet, prime, karate Conor, to big, slow, sluggish Conor, to a window where we saw Conor at his absolute peak. Conor's style has changed so much after every one of his fights. And it had to, as his weight and physique has had to change as well, as he was killing himself to make featherweight, then he had a short notice and short stint at welterweight, then seemingly became a lightweight to go back to welterweight one more time, then back to lightweight, and finally back to welterweight today. So let's go through the evolution of Conor McGregor, how he's changed his fighting style as he's changed weight classes, and let's see how he's going to take this fight with Max Holloway at 170. All right, firstly, we have to talk about featherweight Conor McGregor. This is what everyone knows Conor for. He was 7-0, undefeated, pretty much untouchable at this time, and beat legendary names like Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, Chad Mendes, and Dustin Poirier. The edits still have me thinking he can return to form. This version of Conor was killing himself to make 145, but man, when he made it and rehydrated, this version of Conor could move mountains at ease. He was light on the feet, moved in and out, and was a master of distance, timing, and precision. He just knew where to move and hit and not get hit. This version of Conor is well known for his laser left hand that just knew where to find the chin. But also, featherweight Conor threw some beautiful kicks. Lead hook kicks, mixed in some capoeira in there, and he loved to throw this spinning head kick to his opponents that tried to move laterally from his pressure. And I think a weapon no one really talks about from this era of Conor was his stabbing teep kick up the middle. This was his go-to weapon at featherweight, and it was extremely effective because he was typically the much longer and taller fighter at featherweight. He would snipe this to the body to the much shorter and stockier featherweight opponents. He really hurt Chad Mendes here with those teep kicks to the body, and in general, this was his favorite weapon to throw out there to mix up the levels and occasionally hurt his opponents. And with that threat to the body, that would open up the laser left hand that he would throw and land at will. And man, that left hand from God Conor would throw at featherweight is still one of the most precise strikes we've ever seen. Conor was a master of getting his opponents to overcommit with a right hand, slipping just enough to not get hit, and then coming over the top with a left hand, perfect to the chin to end it all. Classic example, of course, is Jose Aldo. Who could forget? Conor got into Jose Aldo's head, made him jumpy, angsty to throw his right hand, giving Conor a perfect opening to hit the left hand and end it in 13 seconds. But another good example is Conor's debut, forcing Marcus Brimage to throw a bad, almost leaping lead right hand that led to Conor throwing a perfect counter over the top to first stun Brimage in their fight. And not even off of a counter. Conor's just a master of finding a perfect 1-2 from anywhere. When he knocked out Dustin, he just found a sliver of a window to sneak that left hand and land on the tempo to take him out in their first fight. And he was sliding that 1-2 down the pipe perfect against Max Holloway in their first fight as well. Featherweight Conor was truly a sight to behold. He was light on the feet, and because of his karate movement, he at one moment would look like he was an easy target, and then at the last second would pull away, forcing an overcommitment from his opponents to land a laser over the top. And because of his size at featherweight, it typically meant the fight was over when he did that. And then we get into welterweight Conor, which is a really weird one. Conor fought at welterweight 3 times and strangely enough jumped from featherweight the first time when he fought Nate in those 2 fights. This was due to Conor's first jump to lightweight being called off due to RDA, the lightweight champion at the time, having to pull out 2 weeks before. So because Nate Diaz couldn't cut to 155 at that time, they decided to have this fight at 170, and well, the rest is history. Nate Diaz, with his size, unorthodox boxing, and better cardio, dominated Conor to the point that Conor was forced to grapple, which ultimately led to his demise. Conor looks slow at 170. That weight completely zapped Conor's movement. He was more so marching in his fights with Nate Diaz, which led him to getting caught way more often by the long weapons of Nate. And he was like Conor, still tried to slip Nate's strikes by inches, but his body was too heavy to move out the way. And man, was the cardio horrendous for Conor at this weight class. Conor has crazy power still at 170 against Nate, knocking him down several times in the opening rounds of their second fight, and this time slipping out of the way to land big left hands, but when he didn't have enough power to completely take out Nate at this weight class, his body collapsed, starting at the end of the third and into the championship rounds. No movement, no energy from Conor. He was super heavy, and it was even worse for him considering Nate, the naturally bigger guy, kept leaning his weight on Conor, forcing him into a dogfight and a fight to keep his weight up as well. Though this was no problem in his second go around at 170 when he took out Cowboy early, not needing to test his cardio in the later rounds. Overall, Conor at 170 had flashes of power and success, but the extra weight was a lot for Conor to keep up with in 5 rounds. Now, lightweight Conor McGregor is interesting because we all remember him at this weight class because he had the biggest fights here, but record-wise, he actually wasn't that good. He fought Khabib at this weight class, which is literally the biggest fight in the UFC ever. He fought Eddie Alvarez in a historical moment in the UFC, becoming the first double champion in this organization at Madison Square Garden. And then he had 2 gigantic fights with Dustin at 155. But he actually only won once in those 4 fights at lightweight. Granted, the one fight he did win at this weight class was legendary, like absolutely flawless. His performance against Eddie Alvarez for double champ status is still one of the greatest title fight performances in UFC history. Early on, he was forcing Eddie to overextend ever so slightly enough to slide into a patented left hand over the top and knocked down Eddie. And man, that finishing sequence is a thing of beauty. Off of a right hand from Alvarez, Conor launched a multi-punch combination to light up Eddie and take him out for good. But besides that moment at lightweight, Conor has usually been dominated at this weight class. And this was the weight class post-Mayweather, which changed his style a lot. Khabib smothered Conor, so we really didn't see too much of a change in Conor's style, but where we really saw a change in style was against Dustin in their second fight. Conor fell in love with a heavy boxing stance and style post-Mayweather, and it really showed in this fight. Hands low, karate style got replaced with a traditional boxing high guard, a lot more boxing, a lot less kicks, and a heavy lead leg. And that was not good for Conor here, as Dustin ate up that lead leg with the calf kick. Without the movement, Conor looked normal here in this fight, striking-wise, and Dustin just picked him apart because of that and eventually found the KO. In the third fight and last outing, we saw Conor in the UFC. He tried to go back to his roots, a lot more movement, a lot more kicks, but even though he was kind of looking like the old version of himself, he was still just one step behind Dustin, and in this sequence, it looked like he got rocked to the point he was forced to get this clinch and got taken down. And of course, came the leg injury at the end of this round, stopping the fight, so we'll truly never know if Conor would look like he was going back to form here. Which brings us to today, where we have no idea what version of Conor we're going to see this Saturday. This Conor is again at welterweight, though much bigger now and having to cut to welterweight for the first time. This is a Conor that probably doesn't have the clear striking advantage over his opponent. This is a Conor that I think will grapple, and I really think this will be a brand new Conor McGregor, a version of Conor that we've never seen before. The most power Twitter has ever seen. I think this Conor is going to grapple a lot more, use his size advantage, but I still think he will have the confidence to strike a lot from distance, and I still think he still thinks he has it in terms of striking. So I think this new version of Conor is going to be very different from any version of Conor we've ever seen. Like I said, he has a history of changing his style, changing his physique drastically, and I think we're going to see an entirely different style now. He might strike from distance because that's what he's used to, but I think we're going to see a lot more bullying, a lot more grappling, a lot more clinch work, and we're not going to see that prime karate Conor anymore. We're going to see something brand new. So I'm just really excited and looking forward to seeing what's going to happen Saturday. What do you guys think about the Conor McGregor we're going to see on Saturday? Is this going to be a completely new Conor McGregor that might actually grapple? Or is this version of Conor McGregor still going to think he's going to beat Max like the first time and still think he has that movement that he had at featherweight? I'm very interested to see how Conor adapts to his new size, how he's changed over the course of 5 years, and just really interested to see how Conor takes this fight, because historically, he's changed a lot every single one of his fights. But again, thank you guys for always supporting, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.